I can't remember the part of it. I'll just time you guys on my phone because I can't remember how to do that. For real. When it's 5 minutes left, we'll go. True. Word.
With Miss Billy.
Okay, y'all ready?
Ready? And 5, 4.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Candid Conversations. It's your girl, Germanice.
And Alicia.
The topic is, are you mad or no? And basically, we are just talking about dealing with things that we kind of overlook on our day-to-day. Things like bitterness and unforgiveness, and those things could lead to jealousy and negative attitudes and a whole bunch of low vibrational stuff. So let's get started. Our first question is, do you believe that bitterness or unforgiveness is a hindrance, or if it hurts you? And if it hurts, who does it hurt?
It can hurt yourself a lot. I mean, when you hold on to a lot of grudges, when you can't let something go, when you just hold on to that heavy burden, that toxicity, you hurt yourself. I mean, honestly, and I run across this a lot. And one thing I ask a lot of people who are going through, because I mean, we all have a moment. We're entitled to a moment. But at the end of the day, you have that moment. You've got to let it go. But if you don't, real talk, the person ain't thinking about you. The other person ain't losing no sleep. The other person is really, really not thinking about you. But you sitting here messing up on your money. You're not raising your kids right. It really hurts you. I mean, that's my answer to that one, for real. I mean, what do you think?
I like what you times in relationships, when not just necessarily a love relationship, even in friendships, partnerships, businesships, and all of that, it could tend to be toxic if there's unresolved issues. Like if you have unforgiveness, causes trust issues because you have not let go of things that have happened. And if you lack trust, then you're not going to believe, you're not going to have hope for the future. You're not going to have hope for your endeavors. You're not going to have hope for your relationships. You're not going to have hope for anything. Why? Because you don't trust nothing. And you don't trust nothing because you're holding on to things like unforgiveness and bitterness. Mm-hmm. And how about you, Dominique? She's here too. She's behind the scenes. You guys won't be able to see her, but you could hear her. How do you feel about bitterness and unforgiveness? Does it hinder or hurt?
Come on, girl.
Bitterness, does it hinder or does it hurt? It hurts. Bitterness hurts. It hurts you, the person who's holding it. That's my answer.
Keep going. Right, that's good. Okay, well, let's go to our second question.
Hold on, wait. Are you bitter about being asked?
I am.
She was trying to lay low today, and we ain't having it. Okay.
I just had to throw that in there. Wham!
I am mad about that. I'm mad.
And so that goes into our next question. If you apologize, does it resolve things? Dominique, we sorry that we still making you participate.
I ain't sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Bitter not.
But how do you feel about apologizing? Does apologizing resolve the situation?
She said apologize. Okay, let's keep it 100 on this one. For the longest, 4 or 6 years ago, it was very hard for me to apologize. Mm-hmm. I mean, I cringed my teeth at apologize. Yeah, I really had to. You really had to get me on something for me to apologize to you, and for it to be a real apology. Because you can say sorry and not mean it. You can say sorry the most sarcastic way. You can say sorry just to get the person out of your face. So for me to let that word part from my lips and call me what you want, because Lord, I thank you for who you have made me today, because I'm nowhere like I used to be. But I did not care. I didn't care about if someone's feelings got hurt, because 9 times out of 10, you said stuff. Apologize when you took me there. I'm just saying. So it's like now for me to apologize and now for me to say it, I honestly, and I'm gonna put my personal business out there. One time I had to really apologize to my mom for how I treated her. That woman gave me past and everything at me, and every time I felt like I was being attacked and stuff like that, and how I would let our past affect our future. And honestly, still to this day, I am sorry, Mom, for how I ever have treated you. It's a lot for someone, and God for every day that He makes me grow, because it's a lot when you don't feel nothing, when you don't have a heart about anything, when nothing bothers you, when you don't lose no sleep over nothing. How do you say, a cold part of you? Emptiness, no light in you. I wasn't going to church or nothing like that. And now I apologize every chance I get, because if I mess, that's what a lot of people need to understand. It's okay to forgive, especially when it comes to some of the deepest, most hurtful things, because we are not nobody's judge. And even though it may be something that you be like, do I really have to forgive him?
That's good. How do you feel about that, Dominique?
Sorry, what was the question?
The apology
And resolve issues depending on who you're apologizing to and if they're in a position to receive the apology. So you can apologize to anybody, but if someone is not in a position to receive the apology, it's kind of releases you, but for them, they're still holding that. But you can't hold that because they're holding it. So once you apologize, so that's why it's always good to give your apology, be sincere about it, and move forward.
Yes. And one thing, I think if you're a person that's just apologizing to appease someone, it's not going to work, because you're still holding on to it. You know, you're humble enough to look, I made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? And you're apologizing. And the moment that you humble yourself and you apologize and try to yourself and freed yourself from that situation, however it turns out, you know. And like she said about receiving, when you apologize, whether the person receives, as long as you do what you do to release yourself. And sometimes we have to apologize to people that we don't feel like deserve an apology.
That's true.
You know,
That's true.
And that is, again, is humility. In that grudge, because when you get to holding that stuff in, and before you know it, you got so much stuff that you're holding on to, that you're not forgiving another person for, and truly not forgiving yourself, because a lot of people of yourself, it has to start with self. And if it don't, you could be around here giving horrible advice because you're bitter. Like when it comes to let's, for instance, if you have a friend who's in a relationship and you just was in a relationship where somebody did you want any sound advice, because your advice is embedded in unforgiveness, bitterness, and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Or even like with parents, sometimes, you know, if parents don't forgive themselves for things that they have done or the mistakes that they made from a hurt place, a place where they're holding on to things, and jealousy, believe it or not, I believe is connected to bitterness and unforgiveness, because, you know what I'm saying, liberty, and you're over there stuck in your head going back and forth over some stuff that has already been done away with and you've already overcome, and you're already walking. I think apologies are very important. Do they rectify the situation? Not always, but do they release you? Most, ma'am.
So this is from an online person. It says, what about actions? Can you forgive someone who doesn't change their actions?
That's good.
A lot of people honestly are stuck in their ways. A lot of us will try to change that dynamic, change that person and everything. It's not your job to get them to do speak louder than words. But here's my thing. As long as you walk and you show that you about that change and that you really about your apology and you really about, moving. If you know a person that's not about it, they still stuck in their ways, and you're going to meet a lot of people like that because there's a lot of narcissistic, crazy people out there in this world. Don't let that make you lose sleep. Keep moving forward. Pray for them. Do what you got to do. Plant the seed and let it grow. Once side, hey, it's up to them to start moving forward and take that step. But if not, so long. What's that church song in church? So long, bye. Straight up.
Yes. I think when it comes, but once they reveal to you who they are and you forgive them for their actions, you have to keep it in your mind like, okay, I know they can tend to move the actions because once you forgive them, it's supposed to be a brand new slate. When you forgive somebody, you have to completely let go of whatever you was holding on to before that apology. I'm supposed to be drinking water since 2021, and as much as I try, it's just hard. Some habits person, those boundaries is what keeps those same actions from offending you again. I feel like you shouldn't be offended by a person that's continuing to do the same thing they are. You know what I'm saying? So the boundaries is protection for you. You know what I'm saying? And the apology is release. So release yourself and protect yourself.
That's good.
What else you got to say back there, Dominique? Huh?
Oh, I said that's good, but I also just wanted to put in when people continue to do the same actions. So for me, I used to get upset with people that continue to do the same thing. They would apologize, still doing the same thing. So I had to personally look at that like, that's who you are. Mm-hmm. You can't change people. Mm-hmm. You cannot change people, but you can implement boundaries. Yes. And all you can do is respond accordingly, right. To people. You have to set that boundary. Once you set the boundary, it's like, okay, this is what it is. You can't get frustrated when you know something already. Right. So that's where we are.
And I just want to add, I am guilty of apologizing and doing the same thing. I apologize when I go off. Like if you catch me at a bad time and I go off, I will apologize because I know that I was wrong. But that's not to say that it won't happen again.
But you're the person I'm talking about.
So I will say that I am guilty of that. But in my heart of hearts, I do try my best to make efforts to do something different. But, habits are just that. They're habits. And until you create better habits, sometimes you can go back to that old stuff. So I am definitely guilty of that, apologizing for some stuff that I still mess up and do again. You know what I'm saying? But thank God for grace. People won't give you grace, but the Lord will. And thank you, Jesus.
I'll touch on something about in real talk, ask yourselves this. Do you hold people to the same standards as you hold yourself? Are you meeting the same standards and measurements and rules that you set for other people? Because I'm going to tell you, some of us, men, women, on both sides, because I hate when people just single out one side, we will sit here and set all these boundaries, all these standards, all these expectations, got to have the bag, got to have this, got to have that. But are you setting them same standards? Are you really, really, about what you say? A lot of people aren't.
it's like you got to realize, just like you said, thank God for grace. Thank God that we're able to try again and
live and move forward and really, make a change before it's too late. A lot of people ain't even get to make that change, and now they're gone. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and change. I just thought about how Pastor always say, change changes back. But true work. Yeah. Just like I was saying with drinking water, I know I need to be drinking water, and I've been in situations where I've had to be put on what you call the IVs, completely transformed to drinking water every day. But I really want to drink water every day, but I don't intentionally set out to do so. So I just think, that, like we were saying with grace, we have to allow grace with people because we are given so much every day, so much every day.
But how far does grace go, though? That's the thing.
Grace. I'm supposed to look at the eye. I don't remember math, but I know it's some 7s and some 49s. I can't remember exactly right now, but I know you ain't supposed to get tired of forgiving because we are forgiven moment to moment. I'm just saying.
I ain't trying to preach.
But that's how many times we supposed to extend that grace.
As well as a lot of us, hands down, I honestly didn't deserve a lot of things or where I'm at right now, especially in my own self, my own pain, my own toxicity tear me down and make the wrong decisions and stuff like that. So for me to have grace and me to be where I'm at and have peace and all that stuff, shoot. Yes, amen. Thank you, Lord, for grace. About not even forgiving yourself.
Right. And then think about how mad y'all get at people and the things that they do. You know what I'm saying? And think about all the negative thoughts that you have throughout your day. Like if somebody cuts you off in traffic, or if somebody, I'm just trying to think of random situations where people get attitude, or it's you, just because you ain't out there doing the worst don't mean that you're out there doing the best. So when it comes to forgiving people and holding yourself to the same standard, are you, as you know what I'm saying, if they're doing all this, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And usually in most situations it takes two to tango. Even if 80% of it is their fault and only 20% of it is yours, you still play a part. It's a dual effort. It's a two-way street, but a one-way street when it comes to releasing. Can't nobody make you hold on to nothing you don't want to hold on to.
And I used to hold a lot of grudges. Now to like on the last question, when you ask it, I've been sitting here looking at what is on that paper for real, because like a lot of us, because I used to be one. People be like, that ain't the same Alicia. Shoot, I ask myself, who are you all the time? But man, because it's not like how it used to be. And I would hold that person for it. And now it's like, it's not my job. It's not my job. When you let it go, and now I feel a lot more healthier, stress-free. I can breathe because I ain't holding on to nothing because it ain't making me lose on your life. Let it go, or it's gonna make you, your soul turn cold.
Right. And with question number 3, and it's, who is keeping you from your peace or your joy? Dominic is keeping you from your peace and joy.
Okay, so my take on that, I really thought about this question in depth. Nobody can keep you from peace. Nobody can keep you from joy. That's a personal interact. You're processing in your mind is on you. So if you allow yourself to not have peace, it's personal. Nobody can take that from you. God take that unless you give it to them. You can release that if you want to. That's personal. So nobody takes my joy. I have it. I own it. I possess it. And that's where we are.
I felt like it needed a snap. What you think?
Man, watch who you keep in your company that you allow take from your peace. I mean, we allow people to steal our peace and our joy, your security, your mindset, everything. And once you let them in, once you like she said, relationships that you think are for you, or the friendships that you think are for you, and they're really not for you. So you allow that person to come into your life. You can control every dynamic. It's like how do you say, making a play on a football field. I got all this mapped out. And yeah, at time, and you'll have to interrupt your piece, but at the end of the time, you have to put your foot down. Right. Kick their butts out your house. I mean, politely, but I'm just saying, I let people just almost about 10, 11 years. And I'm not going to say all the years were disrupted. But as you get to not care, when you get depressed, when you let people interrupt your peace, you'll entertain a lot of things, toxic things, addicts, different types of people, lifestyles to fill the void or the boredom or whatever. Let people come into our lives to fill these things. It's filters, literally, because we need it. And not really, you don't need it, but you want it. You don't want to be alone. Sometimes being alone is good. Sometimes the pastor's been teaching us meditating, so I've been looking up things on YouTube on different meditating things. And honestly, it used to be silly to me. I used to be like, kids. And it's like so much phone constantly ringing. Shut the phone off. If you got to sit in your car, if you got to take you once you find your peace, you'll be able to handle your family right. You'll be able to handle your job right. You'll be able to, you'll sleep better. More than anything now. So I used to lose a lot of sleep. But stop letting people steal your peace. Stop stealing your own peace. Stop beating your own self up. And forgive yourself. That way you can start receiving your peace. And if you don't know how, there's...
That's right. And basically, piggybacking off of both of them, no one is keeping you right. So you already got it. And no one can keep you from your peace because it's God-given. And if it's given to you, you just have to accept it. And, when you are in a position where you're feeling uneasy or you're feeling unforgiveness, bitterness and unforgiveness, these things, that's how you know that you're out of alignment with self. Because when you are in alignment with yourself, when you are sure of yourself, when you are loving yourself, none of that stuff from the past that you overcame is going to be able to stop where you are in this moment. Most people need to be present. Be around anybody and deal with anybody and it won't affect you. I could be in a room full of a whole bunch of negative and still maintain my peace because why? That's where they are. That's not where I am. Where they are, then you're not easily offended by them. And some people I be having days sometimes where things offend me that one day, and that's when I know when I'm feeling anything like, okay, I need to get back to me. And you know, the Bible says it's not good for me. Well, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is learning to deal with people in spite of, you know what I'm saying, in spite of whatever they got going on, because it has nothing to do with you, and releasing stuff that you're carrying back. The bag lady, you know, like Erykah Badu said, you gonna hurt your back dragging all them bags like that, dragging all that pain, all that hurt, and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So this is to be aware of where you are, be accountable for what you're holding on to, your resentment, even fear, and all of those things, because those are things that were not given to us. Those are things that we pick up from reaching the highest heights of greatness, which we are all purpose for. You understand what I'm saying? And so basically, you guys, if there's any unforgiveness, exactly, ask God to search you over and to show you areas where you are not being forgiven, even to yourself. Because if you can't love yourself or forgive yourself, you're not going to be able to do it for another. Dominique, ma'am, is there anything else that
My final thought would be to look internal. You know, we deal with so much stuff daily. You know, we deal with counter so many different elements in life, and our response really depends on us. So when things are happening, you know, I used to say all the time, "Oh, you made me act a fool. You made me do that." I had, yeah. So, he made me act anyway. I wanted to do that, and that's the point. So, really looking internal, changing things about you, reflecting on yourself, and it's all on you. Really, it's an internal reflection.
Yes.
Till next time, tune in. We can look out for the next topic.
Right. Be intentional, and work on you.
Okay. Okay, cool.